Hello and welcome to this video on 9 DevOps teams patterns or topologies. So if you have been in the industry, you know that they don't know actually where to put us, like DevOps teams, SRE teams, or sometimes they go wrong. That's like anti-pattern of DevOps. We have like discussed it in a previous video. In this video where we are going to see that where is the correct place to put us as like DevOps or SRE or platform teams or even any other name that is like given to us just for making us more and more effective. Let's delve into it. For the materials of this slide, I have used this website and the book in that website, Team Topologies. That's where you're seeing some watermarks in the images. I didn't delete them, it didn't worth it. So if you want, you can go in and buy it. Highly suggested. Type 1, Dev and Ops Collaboration. That's actually the promised land of like DevOps, a smooth collaboration between Dev and Ops. So this one needs a lot of like organizational structure change, and many organizations, they are not ready to have them. So if there is an organization that you want to have it, they should have the good degree of competence about like technical issues and all those things. And not only in the developers or like in the grassroots members, but also in the management and higher up in the company. So effectiveness is pretty high, and organizational profile would be organization with a strong technical leadership. Next one is type 2, fully shared ops responsibilities. So this one can happen in organizations that they have just one or two just platforms, web-based platforms. So dev and ops responsibilities can be mostly shared, like developers even push to production. I have seen it many times, and I've heard about like Instagram, they have almost the same thing. Netflix and Facebook, they are doing the same operations. And operation peoples are tightly bound to the product development teams. That's why they can reach a high level of effectiveness. So again, like effectiveness is high. Organizational profile is like organizations with single main web page product, or even like two also works. Type 3, ops as infrastructure as a service, or also they call it in industry as platform teams. So we are having here organizations that they have big department as ops team, and those people, they are very good in working with the cloud. Usually these companies, they have a lot of like different software in development or different lines of business. So ops team is going to provide some kind of like software, like exactly AWS, but it's going to be something like as a service. So it's going to be some kind of like web UI that developers can go in and kind of put their code so that it's going to be deployed in the production or anything in that nature. Then there is a team or maybe a virtual team inside dev team that they are going to take care of the kind of like monitoring and all those things and act as a source of expertise of operational features. And operational features is going to be delivered to the kind of like developers by the ops team via very kind of abstract way of doing the things, so that they are shielding the developers from what's happening underneath. So this one, the effectiveness is medium, but I see a lot of organizations recently, they are like using it. And organizational profile is like organizations with several different products or services and traditional ops department. It's very important that they have traditional ops department or a department that knows how to do ops in the right way. And also they are having all the applications running on the cloud. I have also another talk about this one. It's in DevOps Toronto, and it's on 6th of July. I'm going to put the link down in the description, so if you like, you can register. Type 4, DevOps as an external service. So it's going to be like DevOps as a service. It's mainly for organizations that they don't have maybe resources or money or anything in that nature to kind of have their own DevOps or ops team. So kind of they go to a service provider like Rackspace and ask them to give them the infrastructure. So it's a pragmatic way for having like DevOps and ops in organization for a small organizations. That is awesome. And also they are going to learn and have that journey toward like kind of maturity of DevOps. That's the very good first step. And we can say effectiveness is medium, and it's very good for small teams, organizations with limited experience with operational issues. Type 5, DevOps teams with expiry date. If you have seen my previous video, you know that like this is like exactly type B, like DevOps team silos. But like there is a way that this kind of structure is going to be very useful, and that's the time that we want to have DevOps team temporarily in there, so that it brings ops and dev together. Kind of talk with dev people about like load balancers, DNS, and all those things, and talking to ops people about like DB maintenance or like dev stuff or like Git and all those things. Kind of like bringing these two together so that they can work smoothly together. Usually they should go away about like 12 to 18 months, kind of like a transitory team in there. So if it's done right, the effectiveness can be low to high, like start low and go very high. And it's like a precursor to type 1 topology, but be aware of the danger of like stucking in there and being type B, anti-type B. Type 6 of DevOps advocacy teams. I have seen in some like kind of job descriptions, they were like having DevOps advocacy. I was just asking, what is this thing? So this is one type of like previous one that is type 5. So in this one, this kind of like DevOps team is not transitory. They are really in there for a good time. And they're facilitating dev and ops collaboration together, kind of like going to the ops people and saying that this is what we need, like go in and create it please, and kind of going to the dev people and saying that don't bring these kind of changes or do the monitoring like this because ops people need this one. Sometimes they call it like even like dev advocacy, but because they want dev people to feel very good, but usually it's like the real name is DevOps advocacy team. And this one, the effectiveness can be medium to high. It depends on how they are doing it. So this is like great for organizations that they are having like dev and ops drifting apart, or even dev and ops, they are completely in different departments that they don't want to work together. So they bring in this team in the middle so that they can kind of like facilitate the work. Just we should be aware that we don't want to make type B that is basically this type 5, but it's like stuck forever in there. We want them to be really working together and like collaborating. Okay, type 7, SRE team or Google's model. So do you remember that we had like in the previous way of doing the things, we had dev team bringing the code and giving it to the ops for the deployment. So here we have like the dev team that gives the code to the SRE team rather than the ops team. This one is very good for companies with very mature organizational like engineering practice, but it cannot be really good to handle with the small teams or even like small organizations. Really, it's hard model. And what happens in here is that like dev team, instead of giving the code or even giving the module to the ops team, what they do is just give that code to the SRE team. Just they should make sure or kind of prove that their code has enough standards. Instead of dev team really going in there and kind of like supporting the code in the production, it's SRE that is like supporting the code in the production, and still we have a team for ops, like a very big team that takes care of all the like servers, and we have the SRE team that runs those applications inside those servers. Again, effectiveness can be very high, really, like Google is actually based on this one. And organizational profile, they should have high degree of engineering and organizational maturity. Type 8, Dev and DBA Collaboration. This is my favorite actually. I didn't want to put it at the beginning because it's not per se Dev and DevOps and Ops kind of like stuff, but DB and DBAs, like they are the people that we should bring in to kind of take care of all our data. Usually organizations neglect this one, especially with today's like cloud-based SaaS DBs. But at the end of the day, you need to take care of journey of your data from like developers to production and make sure that the data is safe. And also it's like kind of like available to the business as some vital resource. Usually people neglect this one again, and that's the time that we are going to have big issues later in the production when you want to change anything in the DBs. They have made this type A to kind of bridge the gap between DB and dev and kind of ops team, so that not also the journey of the code is smooth, but also the journey of the data is smooth. The effectiveness is medium, but also like take into account that you can kind of combine this model with other models like SRE team to make sure that like effectiveness can go high. And this is good for organizations with one or more large central databases, or even like for organizations that data is like the most crucial thing in their company. If you remember, at the beginning, the title was like 9 DevOps team topologies, but I just talked about 8 of them. There was like another one that is like container-based, kind of like topology. I saw that it's just variant of another one, other one, so I just omitted it for not taking your time much. So again, if you see this one, I hope it just makes you wonder if your team is one of these ones, or if you want to like make any changes in your organizations, go ahead and make it and start the change in there. Thank you and have a great day.